Dad perfect revents. My son-in-law had no idea I owned the company that paid his salary. To him, I was just some broke old contractor in work boots. Then he slid that nursing home brochure across his dining room table, and 5 minutes later, his whole world came crashing down. My name is Rick Anderson, I'm 58, and I learned something important that night. Sometimes the best weapon you can carry is the truth nobody expects. See, Tony Martinez thought he had me figured out. Poor old Rick, living in that tiny house on Maple Street, driving a 15-year-old pickup truck, shopping with coupons at the grocery store. What he didn't know was that his fancy lifestyle, his marble mansion, his job as CEO of Anderson Construction, all of it existed because of money I'd invested 25 years ago when I was just starting out as a contractor. Back then, Tony's father Charles was running his construction company into the ground. Gambling debts, bad business deals, payroll he couldn't meet. I was 33, had saved every penny from years of hard work, and I saw an opportunity. I bought 51% of the company for what seemed like a fortune at the time. Today that investment is worth about $800 million, but I never told anyone, not even Jennifer, my daughter. My late wife Sarah and I agreed that our girl should make her own way in the world, not rely on Daddy's money. Maybe that was a mistake, because Jenny ended up marrying Tony without knowing her poor father actually owned her husband's company. Let me back up a few days to when this all started. I was in my garage working on an old engine when my phone rang. It was Jennifer, and her voice sounded weird, kind of rehearsed. "Dad, Tony wants to invite you for dinner Friday night," she said. He thought it would be nice to have a family dinner with his parents. Now, Tony's parents had never wanted me at their dinner table before. Last Christmas, his mother Helen actually moved my place setting to the kitchen because she said the dining room was for family only, so this invitation felt like a setup. "That sounds nice, sweetheart," I said anyway, because when your daughter calls, you show up, even when you know it's probably going to be trouble. The thing is, I'd been hearing things. Construction is a small world, and word travels fast. Tony had been making big promises about some riverfront development project, telling investors it would set the company up for generations. Problem was, he needed one particular piece of land for the access road, and the stubborn old owner wouldn't sell. That stubborn old owner was me. My house on Maple Street sat right where Tony wanted to build his grand entrance to the development. He just didn't know it was my house he was cursing about in board meetings. I'd been watching his frustration grow for months. Through my lawyer, Tim Foster, I kept track of company business without Tony knowing the majority shareholder was his wife's deadbeat father. Tim would call me with updates, and I'd hear about Tony's increasingly desperate attempts to secure funding, his promises to investors, his growing panic about this one property that was holding up everything. Some old fool living in a rundown house, Tony had told the board, according to Tim's reports. Won't even consider our offers, no matter how generous. Claims it's been in his family for decades. If only he knew that old fool was sitting 20 feet away from him every Christmas, eating in the kitchen because he wasn't good enough for the dining room. Friday evening arrived with November's early darkness. I put on my best shirt, the one without any paint stains, and drove my beat-up truck to Tony's mansion in Westfield. The place was one of those modern monstrosities, all white marble and floor-to-ceiling windows, the kind of house that screams, "I have money, and I want everyone to know it." Tony opened the door, wearing a suit that probably cost more than my truck was worth. "Rick," he said, not even managing a smile, "come in, we're all waiting for you." The dining room was set up like some kind of boardroom meeting. Tony's parents, Charles and Helen Martinez, sat at one end of the massive table, looking like judges about to deliver a sentence. Jennifer was there too, but she wouldn't meet my eyes, which told me everything I needed to know about whose side she was on. "Sit down, Rick," Charles said, pointing to a chair at the far end. At 74, Charles still acted like the big shot he used to be, back when his construction company was hemorrhaging money, and he was desperate enough to accept a buyout from a 33-year-old contractor. The irony wasn't lost on me. This man who was about to lecture me about financial responsibility had once begged me for the money that saved his family's business. But he'd never met me face to face. All our dealings had gone through lawyers and shell companies. We ate in mostly silence. Expensive food that tasted like cardboard to me. Helen kept making pointed comments about people our age, and how we needed to face reality about our limitations. I just nodded and ate my overpriced steak, waiting to see where this was headed. Jennifer picked at her food, clearly uncomfortable, but going along with whatever plan they'd cooked up. Every now and then she'd glance at me with what looked like guilt, but not enough guilt to speak up. The small talk felt forced, like actors reading lines they'd rehearsed but didn't quite believe. Tony talked about work stress, about challenging market conditions and difficult property acquisitions. Helen complained about the cost of everything these days. Charles pontificated about the younger generation not understanding the value of hard work. I sat there listening to it all, thinking about the quarterly reports Tim had shown me just last week. Anderson Construction was actually doing quite well, but Tony was spending money faster than it came in. The riverfront project was his Hail Mary, his chance to prove he could think big and deliver. Results. Without that access road through my property, the whole thing would collapse. Finally, after we'd finished the main course, Tony reached under his chair and pulled out a thick manila folder. He slid it across the polished table like he was dealing cards in a poker game where he held all the aces. "Rick, we need to talk about your future," he said, his voice taking on that practiced authority he used in business meetings. I opened the folder and saw exactly what I'd expected. Nursing home brochures on top, something called Sunset Manor, with pictures of elderly people playing checkers and looking grateful to be warehoused somewhere clean and safe. Underneath were legal documents, power of attorney forms, property transfer papers, guardianship applications. "Your house is becoming a financial burden for the family," Tony continued, leaning back in his chair like a CEO delivering quarterly results. "We've been covering your property taxes and maintenance costs, and frankly, we can't keep subsidizing your lifestyle." That was interesting, considering I'd been paying my own taxes for 25 years and doing all my own repairs. But I let him talk. Sometimes the best strategy is to let your enemy dig his own grave. Charles leaned forward, his thick mustache twitching the way it did when he was nervous. I remembered that tell from the old days, though he didn't know we'd ever met. The sale of your property would solve our immediate cash flow problems and provide a nice nest egg for your care, Rick. It's really a win-win situation. "Cash flow problems?" I asked, keeping my voice mild and curious. Tony's face flushed slightly above his expensive tie. "The company is facing some temporary setbacks. We need capital for the new riverfront development project. Your property..." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Your property sits in a strategic location that would benefit the entire community." Now we were getting to the real truth. This wasn't about my welfare or their financial generosity. This was about my house sitting on land they desperately needed for their billion-dollar development dream. Helen smiled that plastic smile rich people use when they're about to screw you over for your own good. "Sunset Manor really is lovely, Rick. You'd have your own room, scheduled activities, professional medical care. At our age, independence becomes a luxury we can't always afford. At our age. Like she and I were in the same boat. Like she'd ever worried about paying for groceries or keeping the heat on during a cold winter. This woman who hadn't washed her own dishes in 30 years was lecturing me about realistic expectations. I looked at the brochures again, flipping through photos of smiling elderly people in cardigans, reading books in common areas, being pushed around in wheelchairs by cheerful young staff. It was the kind of place where dignity went to die slowly, where families dropped off their inconvenient relatives with clean consciences and monthly payment plans. "What if I don't want to sell?" I asked. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. Charles cleared his throat, the sound sharp in the sudden silence. "Then we'd have to consider other options," he said. "Legal options. We're concerned about your mental capacity, Rick, living alone in that big house at your age with no family nearby to check on you. It's not safe." Tony picked up the thread smoothly. "We'd petition the court for guardianship. Bring in medical experts who could testify that you're no longer competent to make financial decisions, that you're a danger to yourself." The threat hung in the air like smoke from a house fire. These people were willing to have me declared mentally incompetent and locked away in a memory care unit, all so they could steal my property for a real estate deal. "The court would have to appoint a guardian," Helen added helpfully. "Someone to look after your interests. Make sure you get the care you need." Jennifer finally spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "Dad, it really is for the best. You're getting older, and we worry about you in that big house all alone. The neighborhood isn't what it used to be." Her voice cracked on the last words, and I could see she'd been crying earlier. But she was still saying the words, still choosing their side over mine. We need the money from the sale, she continued, not meeting my eyes. For our future. For the family's future. That phrase, the family's future, hit me like a punch to the gut. Here was my daughter, the little girl I'd taught to ride a bike and helped with homework and walk down the aisle, telling me that stealing my home was necessary for her family's future. Tony pulled out a gold pen, probably cost more than most people make in a week, and set it on the table next to the documents. This is really very straightforward, Rick, he said. You sign the power of attorney, I handle all the paperwork for the sale, and you move to Sunset Manor. The transition team there will help you settle in, get you oriented to your new routine. Everyone wins. I stared at those papers, then at the four faces around the table. 4 people who thought they had me cornered, who believed that a tired old contractor had no choice but to surrender everything he'd worked for because they needed his property for their grand plans. They were wrong about a lot of things, but they were especially wrong about how much fight this old contractor had left in him. You know, I said, reaching into my jacket pocket, there's something I should probably tell you about that property situation. I pulled out my phone, the old cracked one that made them think I couldn't afford better, and dialed a number I knew by heart. The room went dead quiet as I hit the speaker button. Tim Foster speaking, came the crisp, professional voice through the phone's tinny speaker. Tony actually laughed. Who are you calling, Rick? Your nephew? The bus? Driver? Tim, I said, ignoring Tony's smirk. Are you there? Yes, Mr. Anderson. How can I help you this evening? The silence that followed was beautiful. You could have heard a pin drop on that expensive marble floor. Tony's laugh died in his throat. Helen's fork paused halfway to her mouth. Charles went pale above his perfectly knotted tie. Mr. Anderson? Tony whispered, like he was trying to solve a puzzle, and the pieces weren't fitting together the way they should. Activate Clause 17 of the shareholder agreement, I continued calmly. Immediate freeze on all Anderson construction assets pending emergency board review, and prepare the termination papers for the current CEO. Certainly, Mr. Anderson. Shall I schedule the emergency board meeting for Monday morning? 9 a.m. sharp. Full board attendance required. Consider it done. Is there anything else you need this evening? Not tonight, Tim. Thank you. I ended the call and slipped the phone back into my jacket pocket. 4 faces stared at me like I'd just pulled a gun and announced I was robbing the place. Tony shot to his feet so fast his chair scraped against the marble with a sound like fingernails on a chalkboard. His face was cycling through emotions too quickly for any single expression to take hold. Confusion, disbelief, panic, and something that might have been the first stirrings of genuine fear. Anderson Construction, he stammered. But that's... How do you know about Clause 17? How do you know about the shareholder agreement? I stood up slowly, feeling every one of my 58 years in my joints, but also feeling more powerful than I had in decades. Because 25 years ago, when your father's company was going under due to his gambling debts and spectacularly bad business decisions, I used every penny I'd saved from 15 years of construction work to buy a 51% controlling interest. Charles made a choking sound, like someone had just punched him in the stomach. Helen's perfect makeup couldn't hide the gray, pallor spreading across her face. The company you've been running, Tony, the salary you've been collecting, the office with your name on the door, it all exists because I wrote the check that saved your family's business when nobody else would touch it. I picked up the nursing home brochure and held it up so everyone could see the smiling elderly people on the cover. Currently, my stake in Anderson Construction is worth approximately $408 million, which makes me, not you, the real boss of the company that pays for this house, funds your lifestyle, and employs everyone whose opinion you seem to value more than your wife's father's dignity. Tony collapsed back into his chair, like someone had cut the strings holding him upright. The sound he made wasn't quite a laugh and wasn't quite a sob, more like the noise a balloon makes when air escapes too quickly. You, he breathed. You're the anonymous partner, the silent investor, the majority shareholder we've been trying to... His voice trailed off as the full scope of his situation became crystal clear. The one you've been trying to impress, I finished for him. The one whose approval you've been desperately seeking for months. The one whose funding you need to make your riverfront project successful. I dropped the torn pieces of the brochure onto his expensive china plate. And now, the one who knows exactly how you treat elderly family members when you think they have no power to fight back. Jennifer was staring at me with her mouth open, her face a mixture of shock and dawning recognition. Dad, you own Tony's company? I am Tony's company, sweetheart. I'm Anderson Construction. Has been for 25 years. Tony tried to stand again, his legs shaky, his voice cracking. Rick, please, I was just trying to help. To find you a nice place where you'd be comfortable, where you'd have people to look after you. The riverfront project, it would benefit everyone, the whole community. Save it, I said quietly. You just threatened to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could steal my property. You recruited my own daughter to betray me. You conspired with your parents to commit what amounts to elder financial abuse. Charles finally found his voice. Rick, surely we can work something out. The project is good for the company, good for everyone involved. You must see the bigger picture here. Oh, I see the picture just fine. The emergency board meeting will be Monday morning at 9 o'clock sharp. I suggest you spend the weekend preparing your resignation letter, Tony, and finding yourself a good employment attorney, because after Monday, you're going to need one. Helen tried one last desperate gambit. Rick, think about Jennifer. Think about your grandson's future. This project could set them up for life. I am thinking about Jennifer, I said, looking at my daughter who was sitting there, with tears streaming down her face. I'm saving her from a husband who would sell his own family for a bonus check. The next few days were interesting, to say the least. Tony tried everything, calling, texting, even showing up at my house at 6 a.m., with coffee and donuts, begging me to reconsider. But I was done talking. Some bridges once burned can't be rebuilt. Monday morning came crisp and clear. I put on my best suit, not the one I wore to church, but the real one, the one I kept for the quarterly board meetings I attended through video conference from Tim's office. Anderson Construction headquarters was a 35-story tower of glass and steel downtown, built with profits from projects I'd approved over the past 25 years. Tim met me in the lobby at 8:45 sharp. At 61, my attorney carried himself with the quiet confidence of a man who'd been protecting my interests for 2 decades. His briefcase contained 25 years of financial records, recorded conversations from Friday night's dinner, and documentation that would strip away every lie Tony had built his career on. The board is assembled and, "Waiting, Rick," Tim said, as we rode the elevator to the 35th floor. They're all very interested to finally meet their majority shareholder in person. The boardroom was impressive, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago River, a conference table that could seat 20, leather chairs that cost more than most people's cars. 10 board members rose when I entered, their faces showing various degrees of surprise, recognition, and what looked like relief. These were good people mostly, minority shareholders, contractors, and business partners who'd been growing increasingly concerned about Tony's leadership over the past year. They'd heard rumors about financial irregularities, questionable decisions, and a CEO who seemed more interested in grand gestures than solid business fundamentals. At the far end of the table, Tony and his father sat like defendants waiting for sentencing. Tony had tried to dress the part of a confident executive, but his skin held the gray pallor of a man who hadn't slept in 3 days. Charles looked every one of his 74 years. His proud posture collapsed into something that resembled defeat. "Good morning," I said, taking my seat at the head of the table with the same natural authority I'd once used to run construction crews. "Thank you all for coming on short notice." Tim activated the wall-mounted screen behind me. Suddenly, the room was looking at an enlarged photograph of that nursing home brochure, its cheerful lies magnified for everyone to see. Beside it appeared copies of the property transfer documents, the guardianship applications, all time-stamped from Friday evening. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, "this past Friday, your CEO and his family attempted to defraud the majority shareholder through elder abuse, coercion, and conspiracy to illegally seize private property." The silence in the room was profound. Board member Susan Thompson leaned forward, her face registering the kind of shock that hardens quickly into outrage. Michael Torres, whose construction crews had built half the south side, shook his head slowly in disgust. I walked them through the whole thing methodically. The fake dinner invitation, the nursing home brochure, the threats to have me declared mentally incompetent, the conspiracy to steal my property for the riverfront development. Tim played selected audio clips from the recording device I'd worn Friday night, Tony's voice filling the room as he threatened an elderly man with forced institutionalization. Your CEO threatened to have me locked in a dementia ward where I would, and I quote, spend my last years drooling and forgotten, I said. This wasn't business negotiation. This was criminal conspiracy to commit elder financial abuse. When the presentation ended, you could have heard a pin drop. Tony tried to stand, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor. But Margaret Rodriguez, who controlled 8% of the company, was faster. I moved for immediate termination of Tony. Martinez as CEO, she said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. Seconded, said Robert Phillips immediately. All in favor? I asked. 10 hands rose without hesitation. The only people who didn't vote were Tony and Charles, and their votes didn't matter anymore. Motion carried unanimously. Mr. Martinez, you are hereby terminated from all positions within this company, effective immediately. That's when Tony completely lost it. The composed businessman, the man who'd threatened to destroy an elderly family member for personal gain, crumbled like wet cardboard. He pushed back from the table and actually got down on his knees, crawling across that expensive carpet toward my chair, with tears streaming down his face. Please, Rick, I did it for the family, for Jennifer, for our future, he sobbed. You can't destroy everything we've built, everything I've worked for. I looked down at this man who'd been ready to lock me away in a memory care unit, who'd recruited his own, wife to betray her father, who'd conspired to steal a lifetime of work for his personal ambition. I'm not destroying anything, Tony, I said quietly. I'm saving my daughter from a husband who would sell his own family for a development deal. Security was already at the door. I'd arranged for that in advance. 2 uniformed guards lifted Tony from the floor with professional efficiency and escorted him out. His company car, corporate credit cards, access to all accounts. Everything terminated the moment he left the building. His severance package consisted of whatever personal items were in his desk drawer. After 25 years of investing in this company, watching it grow, protecting it through recessions and recoveries, I wasn't about to let him walk away with a golden parachute. The next 6 months taught me something I should have known all along. The greatest inheritance you can leave your children isn't money in the bank, but the wisdom to recognize good character when they see it. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is show people who they really are when they think nobody important is watching, because that's when their true nature reveals itself.